When one enters the National Archaeological Museum of Athens, the first challenge is separating legend and reality. This is the statue of a real man, while this woman never was. Sometimes it's easy to spot a myth, and sometimes not so much. And then there is this delicately tooled face of the finest gold. Where he fits on the scale from legend to real is a museum secret. For the moment, we'll call him what the museum calls him, the Mask of Agamemnon. 3,000 years ago, the poet Homer wrote of Agamemnon in his saga of the Trojan War. After the Trojans are fooled by a gift horse filled with Greek soldiers, King Agamemnon leads the Greeks to a glorious and bloody victory. But by the 19th century, most scholars agreed that Homer's tales were fiction. One of the few dissenters was a German businessman and amateur archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann.
He believed firmly in Homer, and then he pursued his dream to uncover the world of the Homeric epics.
Schliemann predicted the real city of Troy would be found in Turkey. He was right. His discovery astounded the world. But as he dug deep for Trojan artifacts, he destroyed more recent layers. Archaeologists were horrified. Then he made off with Trojan gold, after using it to dress his wife up as Helen of Troy.
In February 1874, Schliemann actually proceeded to use the same illegal stratagem that he had used at Troy in 1870. That is, without notifying the Greek authorities, he came out to Mycenae allegedly for a survey, but truly, in reality, to excavate.
Schliemann went to Mycenae to prove that the hero of the Trojan War was just as real as Troy itself. Mycenae is where Homer said King Agamemnon ruled.
We're now approaching the main gate of the citadel of Mycenae, built in the middle of the 13th century. It's one of the few landmarks that remained standing throughout Mycenae's history and became its trademark, of course.
Within sight of the famous gate, in a Mycenaean graveyard, Schliemann believed he would find the remains of Agamemnon.
So now we're inside Grave Circle A, the grave circle that Schliemann discovered in 1876. All the shaft graves were maximum depth, about 4 meters. They built the burial chamber at the bottom of the shaft, and in some cases then they would post a funeral stele to mark the spot.
These grave markers, now in the museum, hinted at treasure underground. Schliemann began to dig.
Whenever he saw a later wall, then, he just demolished it, as he did at Troy. He demolished it and went down to the prehistoric levels, if he recognized them.
Horrified by Schliemann's methods, the Greek government assigned him a minder named Panagiotis Stamatakis.
Stamatakis, of course, who had different instructions and came from a different school of archaeology, or from a school of archaeology full stop, tried to oppose that. And next morning he would arrive at the site, and the wall, or the building, gone. Stamatakis had to accept insult upon insult. Schliemann treated the man with utter contempt. He described him as an insignificant boor government clerk who was bent on impeding Mr. Schliemann's pioneering researches for the greater glory of Greece.
Before long, as at Troy, Schliemann's unorthodox methods produced stunning results.
There is a bull's head wrought in silver and plated with gold. There is the golden lion heads, golden masks, precious rings and objects, one after the other.
Then Schliemann announced he had found the death mask of Agamemnon. Not an artist's depiction of a legend, but the real face of a real man.
In ecstasy, he said, he lifted the gold mask and kissed it.
Schliemann received acclaim for proving Homer's Agamemnon was fact. not fiction. The mask took pride of place at the museum amid other treasures of Mycenae. But